Ferrari may have just caught Mercedes at the worst possible moment. Because right before Monaco, the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile has found new evidence in the one place where Mercedes could gain the most dangerous advantage of all. Not the engine, not the wing, the brakes. And in Monaco, that is everything. 1 meter later on the brake pedal can mean pole position. One cleaner corner entry can mean control of the race. One hidden trick can turn a narrow street circuit into a locked door that nobody else can open. That is why Ferrari is furious. Canada exposed Charles Leclerc's nightmare. He cannot trust the brakes, he cannot attack the corners, and he admitted he was driving below his normal level just to avoid risk. But at the same time, Mercedes looked calm, stable, and confident in exactly the part of a lap where Ferrari was suffering. Now the investigation has changed the entire mood before Monaco. Because if Mercedes really found a way to make their car brake later, stay calmer, and protect the tires better, then Ferrari is not just fighting a rival. They are fighting a possible secret weapon. And the most dangerous part is this. Monaco does not forgive doubt. If Ferrari solves the problem, Leclerc could turn his home race into revenge, and Hamilton could prove his Canada breakthrough was real. But if Mercedes keeps that brake advantage, Ferrari's biggest opportunity of the season could disappear before the first lap is even over. Subscribe to the channel. To understand why this news hit Ferrari so hard, you have to begin with the one thing Monaco never forgives: doubt. At most circuits, a driver can make a small mistake and recover. He can lose time in one corner, then fight back on a straight. He can struggle in one sector, then find rhythm later in the lap. There's space to breathe, space to correct, space to survive. Monaco is different. Monaco is a trap built from glamour. The walls are close enough to punish one nervous movement. The corners arrive before the driver has time to reset. The track is narrow, crowded, and brutal. A Formula One car at Monaco is not just racing the clock, is racing fear. And that is why Ferrari's brake concern became more than a technical issue. It became a threat to their entire weekend. Because braking at Monaco is not just about slowing down. It is about trust. The driver must believe, completely, that when he presses the pedal, the car will stop exactly where he expects. Not slightly later, not slightly sideways, not with the rear moving underneath him. Exactly where he expects. If that trust exists, the driver attacks. If that trust disappears, the lap is already dying. That is why Charles Leclerc's Canada weekend matters so much. On paper, Leclerc still finished in the points. From a distance, it might have looked like damage limitation. A difficult weekend, yes, but nothing catastrophic. But the words coming from Leclerc told a darker story. He was not describing a normal lack of pace. He was describing a car he could not fully trust. He said the brakes had not given him confidence. He said the weekend was horrible. He admitted that, toward the end of the race, he was driving slower than normal just to avoid risk. That is not how Leclerc usually speaks, and is definitely not how Leclerc usually drives. This is a driver built on precision, commitment, and the ability to throw a car into a qualifying lap when the pressure is at its highest. He is one of the few drivers on the grid who can make a street circuit feel personal. He can read walls like markers. He can find time where others only see danger. So when that driver starts protecting himself under braking, Ferrari has a problem. Not a small problem, a Monaco problem. Because the very thing Leclerc lost in Canada is the thing he needs most in Monaco. Confidence on entry, confidence on the pedal, confidence that the car will rotate, stop, and hold the line with the wall waiting just centimeters away. That is why Ferrari could not treat the Mercedes brake investigation like background noise. They had just seen what happens when braking confidence disappears. Now they were looking at Mercedes and asking whether their rival had found the opposite. A way to make the car calmer. A way to make the braking phase cleaner. A way to let the driver attack later with less fear while everyone else is fighting instability. And this is where the story becomes dangerous. Because in Formula One, the most powerful advantages are not always the ones fans notice first. A faster engine is obvious. A new wing is visible. A straight line speed advantage shows up immediately on the timing screens. But a braking advantage can hide in plain sight. It can look like driver confidence. It can look like better tire management. It can look like a car that simply behaves better. And by the time rivals understand what they are seeing, the advantage may already be deciding races. That is why the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile finding new evidence changes the pressure around Monaco. It means Ferrari's concern is no longer just a private suspicion. It means the question has moved into a more serious space. A space where the details matter. A space where Mercedes must now be watched, measured, and challenged in the one area that could define the weekend. But here is the key. An investigation does not automatically mean guilt. Ferrari still has to prove performance on track. Mercedes still has the right to defend its car. The officials still have to separate clever engineering from anything that crosses the line. But timing is everything. And this timing is brutal. Because Monaco is the one race where a brake trick, even a tiny one, could become a race-winning weapon. Think about it like this. At a normal track, if a car gains under braking but loses on the straights, the lap can balance itself out. There are places to overtake. There are different strategies. There are long runs where tire wear, pit stops, and race pace can change the story. At Monaco, qualifying is the battlefield. If you start at the front, you can control the race. If you start behind, you can spend the entire afternoon staring at a gearbox, even if your car is faster. That means one perfect braking lap on Saturday can become victory on Sunday. Ferrari knows this. Mercedes knows this. Every engineer in the paddock knows this. That is why Ferrari's reaction feels like a revolt, not a complaint. They are not just angry because Mercedes might be fast. Ferrari expects Mercedes to be fast. That is not the shock. The shock is that Mercedes may be strong in exactly the place Ferrari was weakest only days earlier. Leclerc cannot trust the brakes. Mercedes appeared calm under braking. Monaco was next. Those three facts created the storm. And inside Ferrari, the storm was even more complicated because Lewis Hamilton had just changed the mood of the garage. Hamilton's Canada weekend was not just a strong result. It was a signal. After struggling to feel fully connected with the Ferrari, he found something. He stepped away from the simulator approach that he believed was sending him in the wrong direction. He worked more directly with data and engineers. He trusted what the real car was telling him. And suddenly he looked alive. That matters because Hamilton's breakthrough gave Ferrari hope. It showed the car had performance inside it. It showed that the problem was not hopeless. It showed that with the right preparation and the right balance, the Ferrari could give a driver the confidence to attack. But it also created an uncomfortable contrast. Hamilton found trust. Leclerc lost trust. And now Mercedes, Hamilton's former team, was under scrutiny for a possible braking advantage. That is the kind of storyline formula one creates when pressure, history, and technology collide. Because Hamilton knows Mercedes better than almost anyone. He knows how that team thinks. He knows how they chase hidden gains. He knows that real performance is often found in places that do not look dramatic from the outside. Now he is on the Ferrari side of the fight. And Ferrari needs every piece of knowledge, every data point, every feeling from both drivers, because Monaco will not wait for them to understand the car slowly. The car must be ready immediately. From the first laps, Leclerc needs to feel that the brake issue is gone. Not reduced. Not hidden. Gone. He needs the pedal to speak clearly. He needs the rear to stay with him. He needs to know that when he commits to the corner, the car will not betray him. Hamilton needs something different. He needs proof that Canada was not just a one-weekend breakthrough. He needs to show that his new preparation method can work on a track where rhythm matters more than almost anywhere else. He needs to prove that his Ferrari chapter has turned a real corner. And Mercedes? Mercedes needs to prove that its car is not only fast, but legal, stable, and untouched by the pressure now surrounding it. That is why this first block of the story is so important. Because before we even get to the details of the evidence, before we even get to what the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile may do next, the battlefield is already clear. Ferrari is wounded but dangerous. Mercedes is fast but watched. Leclerc is desperate for trust. Hamilton is chasing confirmation. And Monaco is waiting with no mercy at all. The entire fight comes down to the most basic question a driver can ask at full speed. When I press the brake pedal, can I believe the car? For Ferrari, that question became painful in Canada. For Mercedes, it has now become suspicious before Monaco. And for the championship fight, it may become the detail that changes everything. But the moment the braking question moved from rumor to investigation, Ferrari's problem changed shape. Before that, they were dealing with frustration. After that, they were dealing with possibility. And in Formula One, possibility is dangerous because teams do not wait for proof before they start calculating consequences. They look at timing. They look at behavior. They look at patterns. They ask why one car looks stable where another car looks nervous. They ask why a rival suddenly seems comfortable in a phase of the lap that usually exposes everyone. That is exactly where Ferrari's attention went. Not to the headline, to the pattern. Mercedes had pace. Mercedes had confidence. Mercedes had a car that seemed to behave cleanly when the driver asked it to slow down and rotate. And now, with officials looking closer at the braking area, the question became unavoidable. Was Mercedes simply doing a better job, or had they found a hidden advantage that Ferrari did not yet understand? That question is what makes this story so powerful, because Formula One teams are not scared of losing to speed. They can accept that. They can measure it. They can chase it. What they fear is losing to something hidden, something buried inside the car, something that does not show itself until the rival is already gone. A brake trick would be exactly that kind of threat. It would not need to look dramatic. It would not need to create a wild onboard moment. It would not need the car to behave strangely enough for every fan to notice. It would only need to give the driver a more stable platform at the most important moment of the corner. That is the moment right before turning in. The car is heavy with speed. The tires are being loaded. The rear wants to move. The driver is asking the machine to slow down, stay straight, rotate, and prepare for the next acceleration, all in the space of a heartbeat. If the car feels calm there, the driver can attack. If it feels uncertain, the driver leaves time behind. That is why Ferrari could not ignore what was happening, because Canada had shown them the cost of uncertainty in the most painful way. Leclerc had not simply been beaten by a teammate. He had been denied the confidence that usually makes him dangerous. And once that confidence disappears, a driver starts making tiny protective choices.